In this video, I want to demonstrate how to program this 2.5-inch radius arc, as shown here, in one line of code. Up until now, every radius we program has swept through 180 degrees or less, and that is what the letter R is for. However, when the arc sweeps through more than 180 degrees but less than 360, as this one does, we need to program the letter R minus. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to cut the finished shape onto this part. So I put tool 2 in the spindle. It's a 1-inch high-speed steel end mill. I programmed the RPM, picked up the height offset and fed it down to the depth of cut, the 3/4 inches here. And now I want to figure out the starting X and Y coordinate. I'm going to start the tool down here and feed up this way and around. So my X needs to be 2 plus the radius of the cutter, the 1/2 inch, plus 100 thou, because I like to start 100 thou way. So this will be 2.6, and the Y is negative. So we can see our 0 is here in the center of the part. Y will be negative 3 plus the 100 thou plus the radius of the cutter. So the Y will be negative 3.6. Then I'll come down here, and our first move is I want to pick up cutter comp. If I put the center of the cutter here and look at the way it's going in this direction, I need to compensate the center of the cutter to the right of any X and Y values I give it. So that's G42, and I'll tell it to look in diameter offset 2, and I'll move over to the X2. I'll also make a little note that says DO2 equals a 1/2 inch. So next, I need to feed my cutter from here up to the Y1.5. I'm in the GO1 mode, so I just need to program the Y1.5. Just refresh this. We can see we feed from here up to here. And now this arc, which starts here, and I want it to come around this way, so it's counterclockwise. So program G03. I don't need to program the X coordinate because it's the same at the start and the end. And I'll program the new Y of minus 1.5. And then I'll program the radius of 2.5. And if I refresh this, we can see the radius path we get, which is not what we wanted. We wanted to take the long way around, following a 2.5-inch radius from here to get here. So as I stated earlier, that needs an R negative. So I'll change this to R negative. And now the machine knows it's sweeping through more than 180 degrees, but less than 360. And when I refresh it, I get the proper arc. And to finish this off, I'm going to switch to incremental. And I'll just arc off with a 1-inch arc this way. So that'll be GO2 clockwise. And I'm doing incremental because it's going to move X1, Y1, and R1. And then I can end that tool. So I'll refresh it, and I've arced off my part. So to summarize, the letter R is good for arcs that sweep through 180 degrees or less, and the letter R minus with the radius is good for arcs that sweep through more than 180 but less than 360. If I don't want to program the R minus, I can always break this into 2 or more arcs. So if I break it into 2 arcs, I need to program one to here and then one to here. Still a GO3, but for the first arc, the Y will end at 0. We'll lose the negative here. And I'll program the X of negative 2.5, put a space. Then the next line will still be GO3. It'll end at X2, Y minus 1.5, and the radius path will still be 2.5. If I refresh that, that works as well if you don't like one-line code and using an R minus.